I am about to get us started, so I'm going to do that. So just give me a minute and we will get started here. Talking. Well, we're going to try all that again because I was talking and you didn't hear. Welcome, everyone, to the All About Nothing podcast, kind of daily show. I am Barrett Gruber, host of the All About Nothing podcast. You can find my links across all of social media at Barrett Gruber. Brock is not here tonight. His duties with the Blythewood Town Council have him occupied, and so he is not able to join, but he will be back on Wednesday, so make sure to tune in for that as well. I mean, stay here too, because, you know, I'm here. Want to remind everybody, new episode of the All About Nothing podcast came out today. Got invited out by Alex Avenger, who is the owner and coordinator of the Everplay Sports and Social League here in Columbia, South Carolina. We called one of the best kickball games that I have ever seen. High scoring. I think the score ended 23-17. It was absolutely fantastic. League registration is now open for the fall leagues. It is open until August 19th. Late registration starts on August 20th, but there are a lot of leagues available. Soccer, before I say the leagues I don't know, I will say the leagues I do know. Kickball, bowling, softball. So plenty of leagues out there for everyone to join. It's absolutely a blast. You can go to everplaysocial.com to do that. Check out the details on all of the leagues that are currently available and register for 1 or 2 or 5 or however many you can fit into your schedule. It's a lot of fun. I'm going to be doing cornhole this year, this season. Bowling has been my go-to for the most part, but I think for a little while at least, probably not going to be doing quite as much bowling, but want to try out cornhole because it seems like it would be fun and maybe fewer people for me. I think one of the things that I have talked about on this podcast before is that I do have quite a lot of social anxiety. It's a weird situation. I wish I didn't experience it, but it is something that happens, and ultimately, it is preventing me from being in spaces where there is a lot of noise and a lot of people. So I imagine that there are a lot of people out there that experience that, and we all wish that we didn't. I know we do. But anyway, so cornhole this season is going to be my attempt to at least still participate in some of these social leagues. And Everplay is absolutely one of the most fantastic groups. The staff that Alex has, as far as umpires and officials and things like that, is outstanding. So check it out, everplaysocial.com. You can register for the upcoming fall season. Again, registration open through August the 19th. If you want to participate in this show, you can chat with us on YouTube or Twitch. You can find links at the top of our webpage, theallaboutnothing.com. Please follow and subscribe wherever it is you're hearing us. Let's get started. It feels like every time we come on here, it's usually not great news about what's going on in the world. We are still in active military conflict with Iran. We continue to go back and forth with these oil prices. I know oil prices are, again, beginning to spike. I think I saw that diesel fuel, which is also usually expensive, I'll acknowledge that. It's more expensive than the fuel that I purchase for my vehicle, but we have seen an increase here in Columbia, South Carolina, up over $5 a gallon for diesel. And that was a little bit of a shock. I didn't imagine driving to the gym yesterday morning that I would see $5 plus a gallon for diesel. And it is all in the context of it all is because of this conflict that we have with Iran. We still don't have any sort of idea what the administration here in the United States, President Trump and his administration, we don't know exactly what it is that their intent is with all of this conflict. It doesn't really add up as to what it is that they are trying to accomplish. I know that one of the things that they said is that they don't, that they're trying to prevent Iran from being able to attain the ability to create nuclear weapons. Just to point this out, during the negotiations that President Obama had in 2015 and were signed, I believe, in 2016, Iran had agreed to not seek enrichment of the fuels necessary to create nuclear weapons, that they were using it for energy and medical. And I get that there are going to be people out there that are going to say, well, we just didn't believe them. Well, they also allowed the UN nuclear inspectors in to make sure that they weren't. And that was not a group of Iranian pro individuals. It was a situation that that they did the same thing they did in Iraq and found that there was no nuclear weapons being created there. You know, it's a situation where when Donald Trump came into office and decided that he was going to tear up the deal made between the United States and Iran, that the intent was, well, I don't know what the intent was. I can tell you what I think it was, which was basically just to rile up his base. It was to rile up those diehard Trump supporters that felt as though the United States had somehow been harmed by this deal that Obama's administration had made with the Iranians. And yes, I get it. There was money involved. We did free up financial assets that were then provided back to the Iranians as part of the deal. This was not money that we just handed to them as though it was ours and we gave it to them. It wasn't tax dollars. It was frozen assets that the United States then provided back to Iran that had been frozen since the Iran-Contra affair. Like, that had been frozen for nearly 50 years. But we haven't had a solution yet. The United States is continuing to have these military activities in Iran, and you can call it a war, you can call it whatever you want. But we do continue to have this engagement with the Iranians, and it has not proved to have any profitable, I guess, situation for us here in the United States or in Iran or in the rest of the world, really. I mean, we're seeing oil reserves being depleted around the world, except for China, maybe. But it's becoming more and more expensive around the world because of a decision that our commander in chief had decided to make and drug the rest of his administration into it. He doesn't like Iran. You know, he hates them. I don't know if maybe Tehran has never offered to have a Trump Tower built there, but maybe that's a solution. Get a Trump Tower built there. I know Benjamin Netanyahu was visiting the White House today. That does concern me, partially because I think that anything that Netanyahu puts into Trump's ear, Trump usually yields to whatever it is that Netanyahu wants. And I think that that's a dangerous game to play because Netanyahu benefits from the United States being involved in the war because it makes it seem legitimate for Iran to continue to be attacked by the Israelis. I'm not saying that Israel doesn't have a right to defend itself, but it is a situation where Netanyahu, who is potentially one day going to be brought up on charges, human war charges, whatever. I'm not sure exactly what the words specific to it are, but the possibility that Netanyahu might one day be brought up on some sort of war charges or war crime charges, I guess would be the correct thing to say. It is entirely possible that that may happen one day, and that Netanyahu could be found guilty and potentially do prison time. Not saying it's likely. I'm just saying that it is a possibility. He is profoundly unpopular, even in Israel. He is not experiencing the poll numbers that you think that would be expected of a population who he believes, or he has stated, is under constant threat from Islamic war powers that Islamic and Arabic and or Arabian. This whole situation is one that is constant. I'll acknowledge it. I think that the state of Israel is under threat from countries around it that don't want it to exist. So they have the right to defend themselves. Iran, with as much damage as they have taken over the course of the last nearly 5.5 months, doesn't seem to be that threat. Although they do seem to be still launching drone attacks at Israeli bases and American bases and even allied bases with the United States. It does still happen. And Iran, I'm not defending them, but they are defending themselves. I mean, there are foreign attackers that do seem to be making constant attacks against them. So again, I can't take away from, if it was the United States, we would be defending ourselves against that. And I think that part plays into some of the ideology. Are we fighting a war to defend ourselves or defend our future selves? Are those the two questions that have to be asked? Because Trump does these things, or at least calls for our military to do them, and those attacks result in attacks being made against our military. So it's difficult to figure out exactly what the plan is. What is the end game? Because we still don't know. We want to open up the Strait of Hormuz. Well, the strait was open before the war. We wanted to prevent them from attaining the ability to create nuclear weapons. Well, we had that in 2016 and 2017 when the peace plan, or I guess the accord between the United States and Iran and several other Middle Eastern countries. Like there was a agreement that Iran wouldn't create nuclear weapons. So we had that in place. So it makes you, if you're not cognitively disconnected from reality, it does make you ask the question. You have to ask it. What is the purpose of this? And ultimately, I keep coming back to, this is designed to be a distraction from what it is that's actually going on here in the United States. And here in the United States, the future doesn't look good for the Republican Party because we have midterms coming up. And across the country, even in strong red Republican districts, we are seeing polling that indicates that the Republican Party is incredibly weak. Whether you believe the polls or not, they exist. You don't have to trust them if you don't want to, but they are indicating that there could be a very large blue wave that not only provides the Democrats with a win in the House, but it could potentially give them a narrow lead in the Senate. And a narrow lead in the Senate and a control of the House definitely bodes to the idea that Donald Trump is going to be under investigation from virtually every single committee in the House, that the likelihood of impeachment is probably there. The likelihood that this Senate and this House could potentially seek another impeachment. And Donald Trump will attain something that historically is likely never to be repeated ever again. And that's one president, 3 impeachments. And whether you're a Democrat or a Republican, whether you are MAGA or just consider yourself to be a conservative Republican, that looks bad. Donald Trump may go down in history as the first ever president, and likely the only president, to ever be impeached 3 times. Now, will he get convicted in the Senate? No, not likely. There is, unless it was absolutely indefutable evidence, I still don't think that there are Republicans that could look past their loyalty to the party and their loyalty to Donald Trump and be able to convict Donald Trump in an impeachment. I just do not see it likely happening. I know that for the Republicans, a lot of them are hoping that he is able to stick around at least until after January 20th of 2027, because that means for the Republican Party that Donald Trump not running again, which, if you've ever listened to this podcast, is absolutely one of the most absurd ideas. I mean, anyone can run for president, but to be sworn in, to actually win the election, there is criteria that you have to meet, and Donald Trump fails at several of those. Has he served 2 terms? Yes, that's a disqualifier. Has he, there are other things that should be disqualifiers that aren't, but, he can run. And I think ultimately what their argument's going to be is if he wins a 3rd term, if he wins an election in 2028, which I'm just going to say this again, I don't think he has that much time on this earth. I think that his expiration date has been extended a lot. I just don't see him viably being able to be healthy enough to go through. I don't think there's enough drugs in the world that they could pump him full to get him through another campaign season. I just don't think it's likely. But the reason that I bring up January 20th is because in order for Vance to advance to the presidency and then be able to run 2 more times, he has to take office after January 20th. If he serves more than 50% of any term, then that term counts as one of his. This is according to the Constitution. He cannot run and win 2 additional terms if he has served more than half of the term that Donald Trump is currently in. And I don't know if I said that well enough for it to make sense, but just understand, if he is sworn in as president before January 20th, then he cannot run for 2 additional elections, based on the idea that he potentially would win any one of those. I think the likelihood is that Rubio would probably be the Republicans' pick for president this time around. So I think that the election for the Republicans is one of the things that they kind of like the idea that Iran distracts away, but it also takes a lot of value away from the Republican Party because they show day in and day out that they have absolutely no control over Donald Trump or what it is he's doing. I mean, they tried to pass a War Powers Act that would potentially take the ability of the president's military, organizing, I say that loosely, but his ability to control the military in an operation against Iran. They tried to pass a War Powers Act to take that away. It failed. The Republican Party with Donald Trump at the top of it is incredibly weak because they have no ability to work with this president. And obviously the Democrats are just as weak because they have no ability to work with this president anyway. I mean, he's made it very clear he has zero interest in doing anything with the Democrats. We literally had a bipartisan housing bill that was designed to set moratoriums on the number of homes that some of these corporations that are buying mass properties, mass single family housing, and he wouldn't sign it. It had to go into law without his signature on it. That is just how weak these parties are with Donald Trump as president. And the fact that it doesn't seem like the Republicans are bothered by it, even though they admit day in and day out just how uncomfortable they are with some of the things that he's doing. So the Republicans, this is a distraction, I think, from what is likely going to happen in November after the general election, which is that the Democrats will likely take control of the House and could potentially take control of the Senate. So Iran is a distraction from that. But the biggest thing that they're trying to distract from is the fact that the Epstein files still have not been released. A federal judge this week has already sent a memorandum basically saying that the DOJ has to release all of the rest of the Epstein files and explain why there are redactions. There are redactions on pages that literally have nothing but a list of names, and above that list of names, it says co-conspirators. Why are we afraid or why are our representatives, why is our Department of Justice, why is our president afraid to release the names of co-conspirators with Jeffrey Epstein? If Donald Trump isn't guilty of something, then he shouldn't have any issue with those names being released. Because ultimately, Donald Trump has been the same person almost his entire adult life. He has always been a person that has only ever protected himself above his business, above his friends, definitely above his children, above his family. He has always only looked out for himself. That is, you cannot look at his past and not come to that determination. So if this list has if these Epstein files have a list of co-conspirators and a title above what has been redacted, if it has a list of co-conspirators, there's no reason why Donald Trump shouldn't order the DOJ to go ahead and unredact that and release that information, because he knows he hadn't done anything wrong. Unless he's done something wrong. If he's in that list, then obviously that's why he's still protecting it. That's why he's got Todd Blanche in the the Attorney General office to protect Donald Trump. Todd Blanche has already admitted that above everything else, he is Donald Trump's lawyer. Oh, I'm sorry, he used to be Donald Trump's lawyer. He's still Donald Trump's lawyer. I mean, if he doesn't get confirmed to be the Attorney General, he will likely go back to being Donald Trump's lawyer. That I believe is inevitable. But I think that Iran is still an attempt to distract the United States away from the fact that Donald Trump's Department of Justice has not released all of the Epstein files and hasn't released any information on why the Department of Justice has redacted so much information from them. They have literally outed victims of Epstein and still protected the co-conspirators of Epstein. And I get that someone potentially listening to this thinks that I'm just trying to be a shithead and, you know, talk bad about Trump or his administration or Todd Blanche or the Department of Justice. But also think about the fact that we've already lost one Attorney General because of the Epstein files. Pam Bondi was fired because of her handling of the Epstein files. And not because she gave out information, but because she so mishandled the cover-up of that information, that she was so terrible at her job of trying to cover up the Epstein files that she had to be let go. So these are the things that I absolutely believe that's why we're still fighting with Iran, is because they want to make sure that the attention stays away from things like Republicans losing an election coming up in November, and the Epstein files still are not being released. And when it comes to the Epstein files, regardless of what side of the aisle you're on, what Jeffrey Epstein and his friends, co-conspirators, cohorts, everyone attached to anything involved in what he and everyone around him did, they are monsters. These are monsters. Because anybody listening to this either has a mother, a sister, nieces, nephews, children, whether you have sons or daughters. It is entirely possible that if Jeffrey Epstein were still alive today and had this administration's Department of Justice been in charge of handling the actual trial, the likelihood is he would have gotten off or a pardon. And I say that because Donald Trump has pardoned some truly awful people in the last year and a half. And he's likely going to pardon more because it's beneficial to him. So just when you're watching the news, whether you're watching what you would consider to be left-wing liberal or right-wing conservative, whatever news you're watching, just understand that the underlying issue behind all of it, the reason that they're even reporting anything, is because Donald Trump and his administration are continuing to try and cover up the monsters that are still walking free in this country and around the world. And it's truly, absolutely disgusting. It's not my opinion. I think that's fact. Before I get done, again, I want to remind you, go check out the latest episode of the All About Nothing podcast. Again, Alex Avenger, Ami Bland, and I called yet another fantastic kickball game. This one probably is likely one of my favorites. We had a really good time doing it. I can tell you upcoming episodes of the All About Nothing podcast that we are released on Mondays, that next week's episode is with a local author here in South Carolina named Stephen Jacobs who writes murder mystery books that are hyper local here to the Columbia, Lexington area. And it was a really, I enjoyed sitting down with Stephen and talking about the writing and the process and things like that. And then I have a surprise recording that I am going to be doing this Thursday with someone that I never thought I would be approached by. So I don't want to say anything yet because it hasn't been recorded. But I will be. The plan is to record this episode. I'll give you just a little hint. It is with one of the current candidates for the Republican special primary coming up on August 11th. So that is all I'll say about that. All right, I am going to wrap it up. I'll just say this before I do. I don't know if Mitch McConnell is dead or alive. They released another photo today. I have seen plenty of people break the photo down into whether it's AI, whether it's not real, or whether it is real. I think I'll just say that it is difficult to control a conspiracy when you have more than two people involved. And as of right now, Mitch McConnell's entire staff, his entire Washington staff, is involved in whatever it is that's going on, whatever it is. I think the only thing that is very likely is that he is not well. If he is dead, he's dead. But if he is alive, this is a man who is in serious, grave health concern. I mean, we're talking, the likelihood is that in June he suffered broken bones, potentially a concussion, a heart attack, stroke, tumors, hemorrhages from the fall. This is a man who has had a history of polio in his much earlier years. In his childhood, he battled polio. This is not a man that the likelihood that he is recovering the way that his office is seeming to want to let us believe is unlikely. The photo that was released today is very similar to the photo that he released, that his office released a couple weeks ago, where his wife is sitting near him, behind him, sort of in this recovery unit. And the one released today is very similar, different shirts, a little bit different pose, but it is to me, it just doesn't feel natural. And the fact that the photo doesn't look natural doesn't mean I don't think it's not real, but I think that it just doesn't look natural. It doesn't look like Mitch McConnell is well. He may be smiling, but how many photos did they have to take where he was able to push out that smile? And we only got one. If they want us to believe that Mitch McConnell is healthy and well and recovering, do a video. Have Mitch McConnell speak. You're taking pictures of him already? Just put out a video. That's all you got to do. Put out a video. All right, that's going to wrap it up for this episode. Big thanks to everybody for watching. Thank you for listening. Don't forget you can follow me across all of social media at Barrett Gruber. Thanks for liking and hitting that bell. If you can, give us a 5-star review, leave a comment. Until next time, you all stay safe, be kind, and keep your hands